Thanks for joining us for another political talk on another PolitiPod Live. I'm Tom Bickle,
And I'm Matt Nisanoff.
here to discuss current political events. Tonight we'll cover immigration with a bullet, Cabinet Three Stooges of the Week, Trump's rhetoric, DeWine's betting on sports, Republican child molester of the week, and another Trump dump. We will also have our regular segments, Election Central, and more on this. We'll start with
Immigration rounds. You've heard by now that there's an Afghan national who was allowed to immigrate to the United States of America and was allowed in last April by the Trump administration. He has since gone on to most recently shoot two National Guards members who were in Washington, D.C. From the West Virginia National Guard, and one of them has died, so he will be charged with murder. And the other guardsman is thankfully recovering from the attack. The catch is that the Trump administration is desperately trying to distance themselves from the person. So they're saying, oh, he was allowed in or he was vetted by the Biden administration. Therefore, this is not our fault because they were the ones who allowed him in, which, of course, is just another lie. The Biden administration did not let him in. He did go through the regular vetting procedures. He was somebody who helped American troops while they were in Afghanistan. And then the Trump administration in April allowed him into the United States. So although they are culpable, they are once again going to try to lie and get out of it and blame it on Biden or Biden's auto pen or who knows what other appendage they might.
the ghost of Jimmy Carter, whatever it takes.
Exactly. Whoever or whatever they can think of. But this is their fault. And it's something that they need to own, which, of course, they won't. So apparently, Kristi Noem didn't even try to defend this. As I said, they're constantly trying to deflect and obfuscate on it. But this is how they do absolutely everything. Someone does something they don't like or that we shouldn't like, then they say it was Biden's fault or Franklin Delano Roosevelt's fault or Thomas Jefferson's fault or somebody else's, and always a Democrat. But here's a case where this guy who was very capable of doing the shooting. In fact, he was on a squad that was that was very accomplished at that goal while in Afghanistan on behalf of America. So this is what he does. I don't know what this is going to take from what it will take from here. Tom, any other thoughts?
No other thoughts at this time, Your Honor. Next question.
There you go.
Next witness.
Exactly. There you go. And uh, uh, so that wraps us up on immigration rounds, and we'll move on to Cabinet Three Stooges of the Week.
Price, Mitch. A $5,000 prize for the turkey trot?
Technical difficulties, my friends. I'm so sorry about that.
It's also called premonition. You will be seeing this very soon. You will remember this when it happens. So first, we should recognize an honorary runner-up this episode. Though she's not in the cabinet yet, our Shemp of the Week is Megyn Kelly. And we can come back and talk about her in just a minute. The Three Stooges right here, folks. You can see them. Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, and Kash Patel. So who gets what? The Curly Award for this episode goes to Kristi Noem. Noem says the shooter of the National Guard members in D.C. was radicalized in the U.S. after being allowed in by the Trump administration. She also claims to have deported two people after the courts said she was not allowed to do that, which she's being honest. She did it after the courts told her not to, and she just decided she'd do it anyway. She's also confirmed on NBC she authorized the deportation flights to El Salvador, despite the court order, but denies violating it. So she boldface does it and then says, "Well, but I didn't violate anything. All I did was just send him away."
All I did was what I was told not to do, but that's not wrong.
Exactly. And then once again tries to find somebody else to blame, and she blames activist judges, which doesn't even make sense because the judges didn't send the guys off to El Salvador, and they just said she shouldn't do it because it's not lawful. So, you know,
That's all.
yeah, exactly. What's
Uh,
being lawful in the Trump administration? Um, Maybe
Other
that's
than
something.
that, perfectly legal.
Right, exactly. And maybe she can talk to Pete Hegseth about what's legal. The Mo Award, Don't Ask, Don't Tell, goes to Pete Hegseth, and that's when after he ordered two people murdered on a boat that was sunk by U.S. troops. Of course, Trump now says he doesn't know anything about it. Hegseth assured him that it wasn't Hegseth who did it, so he believes Hegseth. And Hegseth actually came out and then blamed it on Admiral Mitchell, the guy in charge of the actual operation, and said that he had nothing to do with it. Although I believe that that's been proven not to be true, that he's the one who said, "Go get him," or I don't recall the exact phrase, but there is an exact phrase that he used. And then he also then came out and said, "Well, but Mitchell did it, but I agree with Mitchell. He did the right thing. It was he didn't. He was right to make the decision,
Uh-huh.
and he's right with any decision that he made after that."
Yeah. Yeah. What he said, what I saw him to say was Mitchell made that decision. And when Mitchell made that decision, I totally back him up. And I feel like it was the right decision for Mitchell to have made and not me to have made by any means. But sure, he's a great guy, superhero patriot, and also going down for this. Hopefully, if I have anything to do about it. But I certainly applaud my scapegoat. I mean, my admiral. Yeah, that could not have been a good feeling if you're that admiral.
Yeah,
That
you
was
would.
the least effective vote of confidence I've heard since I don't know. Trump talked about Vance half an hour ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's all passing the buck, and it's all blaming somebody who uh, can't be blamed for making that decision. But uh, actually, there's South Park had something to say about Hegseth's style of
Right?
leadership, and I think we have a clip of that.
I think we do.
All right. Well, the truth in animation.
That's right. Couldn't ask for more than that. That was pretty effective. When they want to peel somebody like a banana, South Park does the job.
And underline the truth, right? I mean, the one thing that a bully really can't can't cope with is somebody standing up to them. So
Right.
in this case, for humorous effect, but it's also underlining that we know what we got to do with this sort of guy. So then there's the Larry Award, and that goes to Kash Patel. The FBI Director Kash Patel said in a news conference Thursday that the Biden administration did absolutely zero vetting of the refugees. The last issue that we just discussed, and this is part of that live trying to brush off things on the Biden administration. It's also likely he was vetted before being granted asylum, which is interesting because, of course, that would have been during the Trump administration. According to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, there have been 8,000 such individuals since Trump took office. So Trump has allowed 8,000 people who have similar backgrounds. Noem and Patel have both suggested in recent congressional testimony that the administration has carefully scrutinized all of them. So although they blame the Biden administration for letting this person in, which they didn't, they also say he didn't vet that the Biden administration didn't vet them, which they did. And they don't say that they vetted them when they re-vetted all of them and then actually let them into the country. And that Patel says, during my tenure, we're going through the databases to make sure that no known or suspected terrorist enters this country to harm our nation. That's what he told the Senate in September. So you decide. What's it look like to you?
I mean, are you asking me personally or
I'll
our
throw,
viewers?
I'll throw you in too. Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, Cash Patel is a mess. The way they're talking, it sounds like he's not going to last the week. The only one that beat him through the door might be Hegseth, the way it's going. I guess a report came out about they finally did their investigation and produced a report on the Signalgate snafu, and it's even worse than we thought. I don't know. Have you been able to brief yourself on that yet?
I have not. I heard the story out there, but I didn't get to look into it too much, and I'm
Well,
not on Signal, so
you
didn't
weren't.
get
You
their
were one of
version.
the few not in the recipient list. Yeah. No, the report came out, and it turns out, among other things, that Hegseth would not take part in the Inspector General investigation. He wouldn't sit. He wouldn't turn over his phone, is what they're saying. This is pretty bad. and he shared top secret information with people who weren't fit to see it. So, uh, and I'm the first to admit he's just been killing it up till now, which is the worst possible way. I was going to be sarcastic, but boy, that is the wrong choice of words
Right.
for that one.
Done that too.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's not like he's doing great right now, and this is just a little glitch. I don't know. Hopefully there is a bottom to some of these things, and these people can be tossed out. And if anybody can be, this guy's swirling the drain, in my opinion.
Well,
Uh,
he's earned it.
oh my gosh, he keeps earning it. If you don't punish these things, that's the thing with these rich white boys. If they're they're an exclusive little minority, and you just got to treat them as Republicans like to treat minorities, and you got to be tough on them. You can't let them. You can't. You spare the rod, you spoil the child. You can't go easy on them. They don't learn nothing. You got to punish them, Matt. And I think with Hegseth, you gotta slap this little fella on the wrist and prosecute him wherever they can and should prosecute him, and then he'll learn. He'll be better for it, Matt. You're doing him a favor, really, if you think about it.
Builds character.
That's yeah, exactly Bill's character. Could have said it better myself. That's my opinion.
There you go. So I do agree with you on that. There's, as I said, the only thing, just like that clip from South Park, the only thing bullies get is when they're actually challenged by somebody as strong or stronger, and who isn't in this case. So that does need to happen, and the Hague would be a good place for it to happen too. I think we're pretty much tapped out on the Stooges for the week,
I think you're right. I
at
think we
least
made good
this
use of them.
episode, right?
On to Election Central.
And there we go. Yeah, the Election Central. PolitiPod Live, in combination with Election Central, let you know of upcoming elections and news about elections. The vacancy in the Tennessee Congressional District 7 has been voted on, and the seat has been held by the Republicans, which it has been for several decades now. So that's not exactly a surprise. And it is being noted that though they usually win this seat with between 20 and 25% of the above the opponent, that in this special election for the 7th, it actually wound up being 8 or 9% difference between the Republican and the Democratic candidate. So is that part of this whole shift to the Democrats? That is it's strong enough, not strong enough to replace somebody who can usually get 25% more than the of the vote, but it does shift enough so that it's almost a quarter or a half. So there's some actual movement in the how voters vote. It's not something that's just happening in New York City or just happening in California, but it's that shift that we've been seeing continues.
We've dealt with a lot of shift. God knows.
Nice. And speaking of shifts, let's shift to some upcoming elections. December 6th, Delaware has an election in Dagboro. There are 3 seats up and 4 candidates running. So go vote. Polls will be open from 1 p.m. over at the fire station, 28331 Clayton Street. You must be 18 years old and a citizen of the town, the state, and the country in order to vote. And that's also the last local election in Delaware for the year 2025. December 9th, Florida has local elections, including Hialeah general election, and Miami and Orlando both have their general runoff elections. Florida also fills some vacant seats with special elections in the House District 90 and the State Senate District 11. Over in Georgia, it gets in on that December 9th date with a special election in House Districts 23 and 121. Continuing on December 9th, in Iowa, they hold a special election to decide who will represent House District 7. Oklahoma's House District 35 has a special primary where each party will decide who will be their champion in the face-off of the general election when it's held. Albuquerque, New Mexico has general runoffs to fill vacant seats. And 2 bigger stories. York County, Nebraska has a recall election. Julia Wellman is the constituent who filed the recall petition. She said she spoke with Commissioner Leroy Ott about the solar farms rezoning issue, and he promised how he would vote. He voted no on the initial vote, which Ms. Wellman liked. But when the vote was retake for the council decided they had to re-vote on the issue. It was a close call. It was 3-2. So they decided to retake it. And on retaking it, he switched his vote. And she says that when she tried to catch up with him and talk about it, that he refused to speak to her. And so that's why she pulled out the recall petition. She got enough signatures, so it's a percentage of the people who voted in the last election. And she got the percentage she needed to bring up the recall election. Ott claims the vote only continues. Ott claimed that the second vote was only to continue to study the issue and was not a vote on the issue. And he says he's really a good guy who listens and wants to continue in the position. The local press are clearly backing Ott with the way that they're discussing how this recall interrupts business and doesn't allow for the county to make its decisions. But the truth of it is, the final decision is yours, voters of York County. So all voters were mailed ballots in the all-mail election. So everybody who got a ballot, get it back into the post box by December 9th so that your vote will count. In Missouri, they're trying to join in on the Trump's War of America through mid-decade redistricting. And like Texas, the state is acting without authority of the people. Some people don't like that. And in Missouri's constitution, it says that if people don't like what the government's doing, they can air their grievance by collecting signatures to block that action, which is being done. They almost have enough signatures, and here's the twist. When they came close to getting the signatures, the Secretary of State said that the petitions are actually a misdemeanor crime. He says that signing petitions is now a misdemeanor crime, and he's going after the people who sign it, which of course is not true. Only the state has not caught up with the secretary's wet dream, and no law exists creating this as a misdemeanor. If you claim it, Mr. Secretary, you'll have to show me. I'm Matt Nisanoff. Thanks for listening to Election Central. And that shifts us over. Speaking of shifting earlier, we're shift over to Trump's rhetoric. And what have you heard?
It's been several days, but our old friend Mr. Trump, you'll be surprised to know, has had some intemperate language, and he called Tim Walz seriously R-worded, and it's a word that rhymes with I farted, and it's a slur, and he used that against Tim Walz, and then Walz responded by with a four-word response: release the MRI files or results. Release the MRI results. Well, I thought was pretty good. Pretty good. And as another knock-on effect of that, there is an Indiana representative who voted against redistricting and put out a statement about it and said that his daughter has Down syndrome, and he didn't care for the language too much, and maybe Trump should take the next 10 months to think about how he conducts himself verbally. So I thought that was an interesting development in the news.
And that was a Republican.
Yeah, well said.
Indiana senator.
Yeah. So what does that say about the current state of affairs, the love affair with Trump and his Trumplican minions? Seems like maybe the grip is slipping.
The term I've heard a couple of times is the worm has turned, and it's even before he's technically a lame duck. That people are willing to challenge him now more than ever because of the Epstein files, frankly, and because of things that were easily overlooked for Trump's sake, wouldn't be overlooked for any other public official,
Right.
but the things that were being overlooked because of his, I don't know, some reason. But the things that he was getting away with just because he was a rich guy don't seem to be happening anymore. These ridiculous comments, these insults that he throws around, the thing that was thought of as the cute nicknames before, now he just says very, very angry and not very smart things about people, and it has repercussions that people are actually responding to them instead of just letting them go, which is
instead of just kissing the ring.
right, which is kind of heartening. Although
at long last, sure, a shred of encouragement, sure,
at long last, have you no decency? However, I believe Tuesday, the Indiana House did release a congressional map that had the specific EDs that would, or pardon me, the specific congressional districts that would allow the Republicans to pick up 2 seats. And they are going to meet on the 8th, I believe it is, to discuss this new map. So we'll see. Unfortunately, they have in the Senate a 40 Republican to 10 Democrats spread, I guess, for lack of better words. And so they only need about 25 to be able to get things passed for this map. And so are there enough Republicans who are willing to stand up for their values? I mean, we always hear about Indiana and their famous American values and how they don't stand
salt of the earth, Matt. God's own beautiful people.
There you go.
Show me.
However, at the same time, Republican senators who have said that they won't vote for it have been receiving bomb threats. And this was the Republican Party who was going to make a great stand against political violence and wouldn't allow that sort of thing. And always stood up against it, except they're not so much against it when it's their supporters threatening people, even other Republicans. So we'll have to continue to watch and see what happens with that. Anything else on that, Tom, before we wrap up?
Nothing to add there.
We are moving on to Ohio. Shift over a couple of states from Indiana and you get to Ohio. The governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, signed into law legislation that allowed gambling, that expanded it into casinos and racinos and a number of other betting establishments. And it was a very broad giveaway. And now he's starting to say, looking back on it, that he regrets having done it. At the time that he did it, he learned afterwards that there were threats being made against the University of Dayton sports teams because people who are gamblers were getting in touch with the teams and threatening them because they wanted them to throw games or have them go in a certain way. And with that and other things that have happened, such as baseball players being caught having made prop bets, what are called prop bets. I don't know exactly the contents of the prop bets, but it's a certain sort of betting, and some of the players who are in the games are starting to make them. They're apparently very popular forms of betting because the gambling industry has been very clear that it wants to keep them, especially now that they have them in law. So it was passing the law is what he now says he regrets based on what's happened since he did that. Apparently, he was able to stop certain types of bets by having worked with others. For instance, he had some relationship with the governor, the former Republican governor of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker, who is now the head of the NCAA. So part of his building a coalition against the betting was to reach out to Charlie Baker and have him start making the objections as well, so that DeWine could say, "See, we're talking about this together. We're working together." And then there was another influential person down in North Carolina, and DeWine's family has run businesses in North Carolina, so there was another tie, and he brought that person. So he's built coalitions to say there are some problems with this, and we got to do something. And yet, there are Republicans in the Ohio House who are saying they're going to introduce laws saying all of those types of betting are legal anyway. So even if the governor doesn't like them and has tried to stop them, they're going to try to work around that. And that could have something to do with the gambling industry having spent over $130,000 on political campaigns for Ohio senators and House members. Or it could be something else completely. I mean, allegedly, that could have something to do with it, is what I'm trying to say. But there's, I don't know. I don't know that there's any direct proof yet, or if we'll have to wait and see if something comes out at some point and it all goes to the courts, and then it will come out in discovery. So, any thoughts on Ohio and gambling?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I heard that the type of betting that was going on, or at least some of the betting that was going on, was like micro betting, like not on the score or the outcome of the game, but how many times he scratches his ass in the third quarter, or things, offbeat things like that. That I would think would be pretty easy to fake. It's not like you're throwing the game and not catching a ball or not punching somebody in the face if you're a boxer. Sorry, switching sports here. I went in a weird track, but yeah. It was that. Is it? Do I remember that right?
You're correct. Absolutely, I misstated and said there was things like that. Yeah, but you're right. I think those terms are interchangeable. That prop bet and micro bet are the same thing. They
Mm,
just are different words for it. Is that
Gotcha. I'm not familiar with the first term, so you're probably right. There's as I get older, I lose a few of the common nomenclature, and that may be one of them. I
Well,
hadn't heard it.
and for our viewers, if you happen to bet that that would be the case, I don't know, maybe you'll make a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too bad though, because everybody likes to have a good time. I have no problem with people enjoying themselves and having a good time if you enjoy gambling, but it can be addictive, it can be pernicious, and if it influences games or other things, it just leads to worse. Uh, it seems like a thing that doesn't stay minor for long. So it's not good.
Well, and hopefully this is an example. Maybe in the future people can look at this and say, well, he was for it, he did it, and there
Look
is a
at him
lesson
now.
in it,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't do this because of what happens after it once you open the door, it's one of those things. Well, that brings us to our other segment for the evening.
New
That would
segment.
be new segment. Yeah, first time. So happy to see it, and I'll let Tom take it away with more on this.
All right. Yep. New segment, folks. Our maiden voyage here with more on this. And I would like to introduce today's segment with a monosyllabic ode to the Greek god Moronicus. Please join me in a reverent meditative chant. Duh. All right. Who better for the debut of this segment than Pete Hegseth, a man who can't tell the difference between the fog of war and a drunken haze. You remember Pete Hegseth, the Trump administration's Secretary of War, who has from the very beginning confused two-fisted American swagger with ham-fisted drunken stagger. He's changed the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War, presumably because the Department of What Are You Looking At was already taken. He's the guy who's so American he eats hot dogs for breakfast, apple pie for lunch, and every night he lays a tiny bald eagle egg in the bed of a monster truck. He's the guy who wrote a book that sneered viciously that things like rules of engagement are for wimps. Pete Hegseth, the smooth operator who's such a butt-kicking badass, he shares top-secret battle plans with whomever may or may not be in his signal recipients list. Hegseth is rumored to be running around the Pentagon fidgeting and irritable. Why? Did he miss the 2-for-1 sale at brillcream.com because he forgot to put in the discount code DOUBLETAP at checkout? No. It's because he was also reported to be the one who gave the order to double tap survivors of a U.S. military attack on a boat alleged to be drug smugglers, which is either really illegal or super holy shit illegal. Hegseth has said both that he watched the event live and also that he left the room after all the legal stuff happened, conveniently bailing out when it's time to commit some international crimes. One thing Hegseth definitely did do was post a flippant social media post depicting Franklin the Turtle, a sweet, beloved children's book character, bazooking boats out of the water, which unfortunately led to the sequel, Franklin Goes to The Hague. Not looking too good for Franklin there, getting some tough news from his lawyer. Hegseth really killing the social media game. Also posted to congratulate the admiral beneath him in the chain of command for his heroism and all the decisions that he made, which Hegseth definitely did not make at any time, no matter what you heard. Our hero. It is for these reasons that we here at PolitiPod Live salute Pew Pew Pete while we still can. He may not be here this time next week. For all the rope you were given and well within a year hanging yourself with it, paging Jeff Epstein, for flying too close to the sun on wings of chutzpah, for finding time to murder not only innocent Venezuelan fishermen, but your own career and possibly your freedom with them. We thank you for your example. Shine on, you stupid, stupid diamond.
Fantastic. Well done. And we've touched already on Hegseth and his criminal activity this week. We'll have to see what happens next week. We'll see what else there is to do.
I can't see what he does. I can't wait to see what he does next, Matt.
Exactly. If there is a way to do something, he will find it.
I can't wait for it to be investigated and revealed.
Well, yes, that would be the best case scenario. I won't disagree about it. But if there's one thing that would be even worse than some of the things he's done, not all, because
Right.
there's some
Pretty bad.
incredibly disgusting war crimes in there, but some of the things he's done, that would be something along the lines of, say, child molestation or
Right. Speaking of
um,
investigations,
please.
it's time. Well, I'm just saying that was my segue for the next segment, the child molester of the week, which apparently, hopefully, is not too tight of a schedule. They keep coming out. Newly elected Georgia GOP Secretary Jaquan Stembridge, 19 years old, chair of the Georgia Teen Republicans and Georgia Young Republicans member, allegedly resigned after being caught attempting to meet a 14-year-old boy from a dating app. There you go. I don't know why. I'm sure it's that liberal media, Matt, but I don't know exactly why it's always a Republican. 9 times out of 10, if somebody's in the paper, I had somebody here in my neck of the woods just this past week was busted for, a similar thing, but and suspected of more, according to the news story I read. And I immediately went to his Facebook profile and read it, and wouldn't you know it, he's a righty tighty. He is a right wing fella, and I went to confirm it the next day or look at it again, and that's weird, Matt. His social media profile was all gone, could not be searched anymore. I don't know what that was. Probably the media's fault. Anyway, I the statistics are off the charts. I don't know how maybe it's just my liberal bubble. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, I've there's just a overwhelming wave of these stories, and every time they start with, in our state, the campaign manager of the Trump administration was arrested today for. So it does seem to be a similar set of people. Um, this is not trans people. This is not
Right? Say it
Democrats.
again for the people in the
Black
back, for
people. It's
Pete's
not
sake.
exactly. It's always Trump supporter or Trump campaign worker or Trump campaign manager for the state or the county.
Or Trump,
And,
period.
well, only yeah, right. Only 34 times. So how can you hold that against them? And it's
That's
remarkable how
holding it against him. The
resilient.
problem is him holding it against you, apparently.
Fair
Sorry.
point.
I
I'm
reached for
sorry.
that joke. I
Fair
almost
point.
pulled a muscle, but yeah.
No, no. But see, that's the problem. You made a really sound point. I can't argue with that.
Right? Stop me when
Um,
I'm wrong.
exactly. But it's always right. It's always the verbal jujitsu of everybody else is the problem, and when our guys do it, well, it's just that they got caught.
Paging
Um,
Dennis Hastert. Dennis Hastert, line 1.
exactly.
I keep
Um,
leaving him messages, Matt. Is he still in prison, do you think?
I don't know how he couldn't be.
Well, he may have died. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. Stray thought. Relevant, but not really helpful.
But also probably true. I mean,
Right.
either he's there or mysteriously was hung during 2 minutes of the video not working,
Right. All the
just
guards
like
were tranquilized
somebody
and
else.
asleep.
I
Yeah,
heard that somewhere. Somebody else did
somewhere.
that. So it's hard to keep track, other than that they're all tied into one particular guy, and that would be Trump himself. Speaking of Trump, yeah, there he is.
Oh, I smell brimstone. Go ahead.
A wonderful crown they gave him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's maybe we should move on to some of the things that we have to talk about him himself, right? And such as the wonderful, perfect tariffs that are doing so well and that are making so much money that he's considering canceling taxes because they're making so much money, and the so much money is slated to cover at least a half dozen different costs or at least anytime anybody asks him where money is coming from, it's from the wonderful tariffs. And he's now frozen the tariffs for 90 days. So apparently it works so well that we are so well off that we don't even need to do it anymore.
That's lucky because affordability is a Democrat hoax.
Exactly. Right up until it sounds good to him, and then he's the guy who's the affordability president. Or sorry, he says. But once he did freeze the tariffs, the stock market skyrocketed. It shot up, all because the tariffs had been stopped. Is there a message in that from the world of finance to... Nah, probably not. He claims great victory, and that it just shows that his economic policies are so marvelous. But what it really shows is that the tariffs are the joke that they've been portrayed as, that they are not the magic bullet that he finds it to be, or that he likes because he heard they did it in the 1800s, or whatever the reason is. It's still not really known at this point. There's also the issue of his having closed the airspace over Venezuela. And I don't know that any of his staff have the gumption to be able to tell him that he's not the president of Venezuela and that he can't close down their airspace.
You tell
But
him. No, you tell him.
Exactly. Yeah, you tell. Yeah, right. You tell. But apparently, so nobody's done that apparently, because that's what he's gone and done, and because he's trying so desperately to have a war with somebody, and it's it should certainly be someone that he pretty much knows that he has a good chance of winning against. So you get the boat bombings, you get the military ready, you get the Venezuelans talking about their militaries getting ready. We are on a war footing, as they say, and we'll see what actually happens. I certainly hope that there's no war for a senseless point that has nothing to do with our national defense. But that's a crazy thing to say nowadays, and in fact, I expect that he will now call for my death. Wah, wah.
He's going to get to us all eventually if he has to go through the phone book one at a time. It's going to be the new status symbol pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, it will be after. When the next guy gets in, then it will be something
Let's
to be
hope.
able to say. Everybody will say it was them. What do you think? What else is there about Trump this week that you'd like to mention?
I mean, old Sleepy, pretty soon he's just going to want a nap. That's all. He's not going to want any more trouble. He doesn't really put a lot of, as we briefly touched on, I'm sorry, go ahead. You had a thought.
No, I was going to say, you say that he'll want a nap, and I believe that you mean he'll want a nap outside of meetings and press events.
I mean, his primary, he'll stop calling everyone names and he'll just go CP9. I saw somebody allege something that I had quietly been speculating on myself, and that is they took his stimulants away from him because he had a stroke. And his pressurized little system didn't need all that extra stress, and now little Tyke can't keep his eyes open without his sniff and his whatever. And this is what you get. He's falling asleep at 1:30 in the afternoon at his own cabinet meeting. I called you all here today to hilarious. We need to get this guy back on the stuff because he's terrible when he's sober. This is awful. Yeah, but then again, maybe something will pop and it'll all be over.
Well, we'll have to see if maybe Don Jr. has something that
Right, he's got some connections
he could share.
What do you think about that obvious rank speculation and conspiracy theorizing? As far as him being off of, assuming he was on a stimulant and is now off of it and wilting like a flower.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, of course he's been on something. There's no other explanation for the irrational behavior and the blah blah blah. So, and just to be able to keep up ballroom dancing like he has, there's just something that has to be something else that has to be in there in the mix.
I mean, from the sniffling, that was pronounced, and that was at a debate. Holy cats, man! Do you think we can't see and hear you? For Pete's sake, that's audio and video. Even deaf people were going, "He high," you know, and the blind. I mean, you're not fooling anybody at this point.
Right, and just the crowd that he hangs out with also. I mean, it's such an acceptable criminal behavior for that set that to imagine that he wouldn't have something access to something is just not
His
believable.
his whole game is talking a gang of shit, just a phenomenal volcanic amount of smack talking, and it's not hard to see how having a little pep in your step keeps you ahead of that game. So I don't know if it's true, but it feels true. It sounds right to me, and obviously something has got this poor fella just plumb tuckered out, Matt. Mr. Dynamo. Mr. I can do it all.
Right. I alone
Drooling
can
into his
save.
shirt pocket in front of the whole nation. Give me a break.
Right. Right. Exactly. And all those late nights dancing in the clubs in New York City. Does that happen without,
Right. I'm sure they never ran into a substance there.
access of something? Yeah.
That club doubled as a church on Sundays, I'll have you know.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So
Well,
yeah,
and
that's what occurs to me with Trump. And I don't know. Do you think he's going to expurgate Hegseth? How long do you think he's going to cover for that guy? He's been covering for him this long.
he doesn't even know who Hegseth is now.
You think?
He thinks Hegseth got him coffee once,
Right.
maybe.
That was his
Maybe he
executive
knows
producer on
there.
the Apprentice.
The more, yeah, exactly. The more he denies knowing him, the more that it's that at least Trump thinks he's going to get caught. That Hegseth will be caught for something. He distances himself from anybody he thinks will get into trouble.
Absolutely.
And
There's nobody
when
he
they're
won't
covered,
cover.
yeah, and when they're covered for and it doesn't happen, then he remembers that they're very close personal friends. So I don't know. It's more a thermometer of how much trouble Hegseth must be in currently. That that all of a sudden Trump, whatever. I don't know. Don't have anything to do with it. He said it was okay. It's okay because he said so.
Right.
Um,
The great and mighty Oz has no idea what's going on. Has his thumb in every pie in the world. Nothing happens without his say so. And then I don't know. That was my day off, man. I just work here. I don't. Are you kidding, bro? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sure you don't.
right, right. I mean, it's just like the world peace stuff that he goes on about, where he talks about that if he's elected day one, he'll resolve Ukraine war. It's pretty much past the first day, isn't it? I mean, I'm not certain.
He didn't solve it on the first day. I haven't watched the news.
I believe there are certain planets that a day on Earth lasts
Ah,
278 days.
right.
So maybe we're going by that calendar.
Interesting
But
theory. I'll get that right to Stephen Miller.
yeah, right.
That'll be a
Or
White
to
House
Rod,
tomorrow.
or to Rod Serling. But whoever you get it to, and so once again, it was words that were said that didn't sounded good, didn't mean anything, went into the air where they're supposed to go, and that's the style.
Right.
So what else? I mean, and recently the whole thing of negotiating with Putin, and the negotiation is, oh, everything you want, yeah, okay,
Right. Everything Russia wants, nothing Ukraine wants, sign here.
exactly. So where
Yeah.
that's who we're talking about.
That
What
is
else?
just bald faced. I don't know. I can't believe we're tolerating this as Americans. I don't know what our problem is. I guess we just don't know what to do other than what we're doing.
Well, I
So,
mean, yeah, I mean, we're doing something, but it just takes time. The problem is, it takes time, and while that's happening, he's got carte blanche to do whatever he wants, and he's doing it. He's doing everything he wants. He's doing all the Project 2025 stuff. He's destroyed our alliances with our allies. Our closest, literally our closest ally, Canada. He's managed to blow up that relationship. He's, just about the only, well, with Mexico, that's a whole nother issue. Certainly with South America and Latin America, that's all gone sour. Um,
I got a good feeling about Venezuela.
hmm?
No, not at all. We're being terrible to them. I was joking as if they're gonna come around any minute. Of course they're not. Oh my God.
Exactly. Some of the inner rivalries, maybe like, well, I guess there are countries down there that don't like each other very much either. But none of them have closed down the airspace of their
Holy
opponents.
cats. What are we about to do? They don't have
Yeah,
enough war crimes on their hands. They want to go and multiply it exponentially. The potential for harm and crime.
exactly, exactly. And the Canadian stuff really also just is such a low
It's
that,
terrible.
yeah, I mean the whole the everything from the issue of the lumber that comes from Canada because of where the trees grow and how they grow. Those are the sorts of wood that you need to make the things we build houses with. The trees in the U.S. are not of the same grade. They're not gonna be because of the how they grow and the weather that they grow in, and etc. And so you really need to have that stuff. And the fact that it just details are not his thing.
No, not a big detail guy. Big picture. Big picture guy.
Right, right.
Real
Big.
visionary. Really big. Way over there, big.
So it's the fact that he just completely blown that up to the point where Canada's starting to look to make trade deals with the EU and sort of get away from having alliances with us. Not good news. Not good news. Um, and another thing I guess that you could say that he's known for is the Epstein files, being in the Epstein files. Although, of course, deny, deny, deny. But when you start finding out all the pictures of them they have together, and you start learning about the birthday cards and the signatures and the poems and the all sorts of things that are starting to come out and the emails, once people actually get through the thousands and hundreds of thousands of documents, um, even with him, it, even if the allegation of his having worked behind the scenes to get his name redacted from the actual files that the government has, all of those additional sources that come from it, where he will be named and renamed and they'll be put together and shown together. And he said that he didn't know who he was actually, and that they weren't friends for decades, and then it comes out that they were having holidays together in Mar-a-Lago as recent as 2017. And then all of this, these other pieces of the puzzle come together. And I think this is why he's losing his own base. The MAGA folks are even the MAGA folks who have accepted any and everything he says on his word, uh, regardless of any evidence or anything else. The real that this issue was such a touchstone for them
He
that
made it
even
such.
today,
He made it. He leaned on it hard and heavy, and he made them just hunger for it. Ooh, all the juicy details, all the hate people you hate. Ooh, they're in there, and they're going down because they're bad people, and we hate them, and you hate them, and I hate them, and they're in there. He did that for years, and then as soon as he got in office, like, nah, they're not so bad. Shut up and don't worry about it, will you?
yeah, exactly. And they're even So that's the big split for him, and that's his problem. And
That's
thank
like
God it did.
canceling Christmas. That's
Yeah,
just
right,
unheard of.
right,
The
right.
Christmas that you started.
Too true. Um, so so the question you had asked, that was sort of the start of what broke the MAGA back, and with that baking, and then people being able to people seeing that there is a weakness, that they're willing to respond to that. This Republican senator out in Indiana, he never would have. I mean, he may have been upset by what was said, but there was a time where he would never have gone public with his being upset, and he never would have said anything. Maybe he still would have been upset behind the scenes and done what he is doing, uh, maybe. But there was a time when he wouldn't dare to have made that public.
Yeah,
So
that time was before this administration failed, not just failed, but aggressively failed on all counts. There's not a dimension or a vein of government that they're doing anything well on that I know of. Everything is bad. Economy down, immigration down, um, just tariffs up, healthcare
no, I
doubling,
mean this.
tripling, just stratosphere. Just add 2 zeros to the end of it. Whatever you were paying per month. All of these things, just a complete shitstorm with nowhere to hide. There's no cover. Oh, also, and the Epstein files. It's too much. This guy could have ridden semi-fascism into the sunset. There's a median here somewhere. He's missed it now. He's too late. He can't go back, I don't think. Um, but he could have, as much damage as he has done, he probably could have surfed that line, probably a wide swath of it. I think there's a small universe out there where he could have done just fine, but everything is on fire. Everything is going bad. And he's signaling to his constituents that he doesn't give a damn. Affordability, that's not a thing. That's not a problem. Shut up and go pay your bills, or don't. I gotta go. That's no way to run a railroad. If that wasn't all happening, I think he might have been able to ride out the Epstein thing. He made this Frankenstein's monster, set it loose, and is now just running in circles in the castle, trying not to let it catch him. I think it all becomes too much. If it wasn't all of this, this country will tolerate a surprising amount of authoritarianism, a surprising amount of oppression. Just we are bitch made in this country. We are built to, yes, daddy. When the government comes down on us, there's nobody out there Second Amendmenting it up. Nobody, all for all that bluster. They're all either in ICE or home sucking their thumb. There's nobody. It's all nonsense, and I just can't believe we spent 20 years listening to all these tough guys talk about how we should, this undertone that we should be thankful that they're going to come save our bacon when the shit hits the fan, buddy. Oh yeah, I got canned food and AR-15 rounds and till hell won't have it. So why don't you just sit down and shut up, little lady? And nothing, Matt. Anyway,
All
uh,
true. But I
yeah,
will say that something we have to hold on to dearly is our weekly Epstein count up.
that's right.
And at this point, regardless to what they release, because it will be redacted, the Epstein count up at this point is 3,823 days since the unredacted Epstein list has not been released. And the count up will continue. You can bet your bottom dollar.
Now they're under a 30-day deadline from November 19th, isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so by December 19th, just before Christmas, we should see whatever delights this administration is going to put together, put out with a straight face and ask you to accept it, and this opening bid is going to be pathetic. I bet we don't even can't conceive of how badly we're going to get ripped off on this. And from there, we're going to be fighting tooth and nail to get any semblance of any actual information, as has been ordered by the court, or excuse me, has been ordered anyway. And what do you? That's my prediction. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt that for a second. It will be, here's the document. Chunks will be missing, and they'll say, and now we've released it just as law requires, and therefore this is old news.
Yep, closed.
And whenever anybody brings it up, right, and when anybody brings it up, it will be, well, that's old news. That was released, so we don't have to talk about that anymore. But I think you're also correct in that saying that we all know that it's going to be
a shit show.
Yeah, we all know that it's going to be crap, and we all there will be people who will continue to fight to get the more of it, at least more of it, if not all of it, all of the actual documents. That there'll be more of it released, which is why we're going to continue the count up, because we're not going to see the full thing initially. We're not going to see the full thing soon after, but people will keep working on it, and hopefully one day we'll be able to no longer have this fine picture on our screen at the end of our show. We'll have to figure something else out. So start thinking, but you got plenty of time.
Right.
Not something you have to come up with quick, is my point. And speaking of that, I will say thanks for joining us at PolitiPod Live for Political Talk. You're welcome to join us every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here for PolitiPod Live. If you want political laughs, you can join us and a half dozen of our friends at our monthly political comedy podcast, PolitiPod. You'll find that at soundcloud.com/PolitiPod. This is Matt Nisanoff and
I'm Tom Bickle.
saying good night.